Good morning, everybody. Have you had a good week and a good Mother's Day? What did you do for Mother's Day? Did you do anything special with your moms? Did you spoil them? I bet you did. I bet you had a wonderful day with your family, and that's great. So, Sunday number 7 or 8, I don't know. I lost count. Do you guys remember how many weeks we have been separated? I can't remember. I know it was mid-March, but yeah, anyway, last time for David and Jonathan. Finally, we're going to get to the end of our story. It's been a long story, but it's such a beautiful story of friendship that I feel it's really important to go to the very end. It's probably the most beautiful story of friendship in the whole Bible, maybe except for Jesus' story about the friendship he has to us and that we can have with him. That might even be more and more special, but just kind of the personal relationship between people, I think this is really the best. So, again, Jonathan and David, if you remember last time, David found out that Saul was going to kill him, and he was pretty sure, and he told his friend Jonathan about it, who didn't really think that was the case because he said, well, my dad always tells me everything he does, the big things and the small things, so I should really know if he's planning on killing you. But of course, Jonathan was wrong. He did not know, and David was right. And remember, they had this banquet where David decided not to go to because, well, yeah, because it was too dangerous for him. And he also said, Jonathan, if your dad is going to get angry, that's a sign that he really wants to kill me if I'm not there. And so they tried that out, and sure enough, Saul got very, very angry, and Jonathan said, yes, yes, David, you're right. And they had this hiding spot where David hid behind the rocks, and Jonathan, they had this little code where they said, okay, if I tell my boy to go and get the arrow from really far away, then it's time for you to flee. Then it is serious, and that's what happened. And then once they had to say goodbye, they hugged each other and they cried. They cried. They wept. So these were grown up men and they still wept because they were friends and they did not want to leave each other. It was not their plan, but they had to. So they wept. So if you think about your friends, have you ever wept with them because something bad happened to you or to them? So why do you think it's important that friends are with you when you're going through a difficult time, or that you are with your friends when they are going through a difficult time? Do you think it's important or is it not important? Well, I'm sure for David, it was important that Jonathan said goodbye to him and that they could weep together. That often it helps when somebody cries with you, it helps get some emotions out and it helps you heal a bit. And also, it's good to know that people are there, even if you're not doing well. Friends are there for the good times and for the bad times. And yeah, it's easier to get through the bad times if you do have friends, if they check up on you, or if you check up on them, if you even notice that they're sad, you could say, hey, why are you sad today? And even the fact that you notice that something is wrong with them could help them. It might be, yeah, it might make their day that they say, oh, somebody does notice when I'm not doing well. I'm really thankful for that. So it is good to have friends when we are not doing so well. And yes, and for David, it was very important. But now it was very hard for David because he had to run. He had to get away from Saul's presence. He had to go and hide. So that's what he did. And it was not an easy thing for David to do to go and hide, although um, he knew that God was with him. And at one point, after David had hidden for a few I don't know how long actually, it doesn't say that, but he had been hiding, and Saul had been on the hunt for him but hadn't found him. And then all of a sudden Jonathan showed up there. So, and Jonathan said to David, wherever that was, I don't know if it was in a cave or if it was in a different place, I do not know, but Jonathan went there and he found David. So it wasn't really that hard to find David. But Jonathan said to David, he said, you know what? Don't worry, my dad will not find you, because God, your God, is with you, and your God protects you. He will not let my father find you. And even though Jonathan found him easily, he knew that his dad wouldn't, because God would make sure that the king would not find him. King Saul would not find him to kill him, because God had the plan that David was going to be king one day. So he had to make that work. But also, the weird thing is that, you know, God was with David. And when we think of God was with David, we think, well, then God made everything happy for David. He gave him a good life. He helped him with everything. Everything worked out well. But it wasn't that way, really, because David had to be on the run from Saul for years. I think it was 7 years. I read that somewhere. I'm not sure if that's totally true, but 7 years running from somebody who wants to kill you, that must be very stressful. And you probably question sometimes God and say, God, why are you doing that to me? You said you would be with me and you are protecting me. Saul is not finding me, but this is really hard. Why are you doing this? So we can see in David's life that even though God is with us, he's not guaranteeing that our lives are going to be easy. Not at all. And we can see that in different characters in the Bible, that lives are not easy, even though God is with them. Yeah, and especially with David, who has to live a life on the run, and he doesn't have a house where he can sleep. He sleeps somewhere outside, and um, I don't know what he eats and all this stuff, but it's not fun. But God is with him, and David knows that, and other people know that. Even Saul knows that. He knows that God is with David, and yes, so it's not a guarantee that everything goes smoothly just because we are Christians, just because we do believe in God, and just because God is with us doesn't mean that it's easy, but it means that God carries us through. And also, what I wanted to mention there is that Jonathan said to David when he was visiting him, he told him, well, my dad is not going to find you because God is with you, and you will be king one day. So by now, Jonathan found out that David will actually be king. He didn't know that before when he started his friendship, but he found that out. And he said, I'm going to be your assistant. So when you're king, I'm going to be working with you. And you know, that's a sign of great, great friendship. Because Jonathan, he could have turned against David. When he found out that David was going to be king one day, that means that David is taking his position away, because Jonathan was supposed to be king. He's a king's son, and the king's son one day will be king. And then he finds out that David is going to be king. That's not good, because his his dream probably of being king is now shattered, and it's because of David, his best friend. So he could have turned against David and said, okay, yes, my dad Saul, I will help you fight against David and try to find him and kill him, because I want to be king. This is really my privilege to be king, not his. He could have done that, but he did not do that. He he just said, okay, he accepted God chose David to be king. He will be king, and God is with him, and I'm just going to be happy for him, and I will be assisting him. So then I will be the next person to the king. This is pretty special too. So Jonathan was really, really a good friend, and he did not turn bitter. He did not um, turn angry. He was not jealous. He was just happy for David. And that is very, very amazing. So imagine you are maybe playing hockey or something where you have a team, and your coach told you that in the fall when hockey starts up again, you are going to be the captain. The captain is a special privilege in a team. I hope you know a little bit about team sports and you know what a captain is, but he has some privileges and it's pretty prestigious. It's pretty nice to be the captain. You might be proud of that somebody chose you to be captain. So you were looking forward to that in the fall. And then all of a sudden, your coach changes maybe his mind and he's going to take your best friend. He's also on the team and says, "Oh, no, sorry, I changed my mind. Now it's going to be your best friend who is going to be the captain, not you." Ooh, how would you feel about your best friend if all of a sudden he or she is going to be the captain and your privilege is taken away? Would you be happy for your friend, or would you feel resentful, angry, jealous, mad, sad? I don't know. I would probably not be happy to start with. I would really have to work on that to be happy for my friend, I think. And maybe you would too. But that's kind of comparing Jonathan to David, who gave up his um, kingship basically to David and said, "I'm happy for you. You're going to be a great king." So could you say to your friend, "You're going to be a great captain and I'm going to play in your team and I'll be the best player on your team"? Maybe you could, and that would be great, and that would be exactly what Jonathan did. So, what's next? Oh, yes. So now, unfortunately for Jonathan, things didn't turn out the way he had imagined. Jonathan, of course, said that he was going to be David's assistant when he was going to be king. But unfortunately, Jonathan died quite young. I'm not sure how old he was, but he died before David became king. As a matter of fact, he died on the same day as his father Saul, who was a king. So he was still the king, and they both died in battle. And yeah, so he didn't get to be um, David's assistant. But in his lifetime, what we have been looking at the friendship, it was always Jonathan giving to David, and it seemed like kind of a one-way friendship maybe. And but now that Jonathan is dead, and it's time for David to also give back, and David didn't have a lot of chance, I think, to really show his friendship to Jonathan. And I mean, he was his friend, but he couldn't really do special things for him because David had to run and stuff like that. So, but now David is a poet. You've probably heard of the Psalms, and a lot of Psalms David wrote. So he is a poet, and he wrote not a psalm, but a poem for Jonathan. So he mentioned Jonathan in one of his poems, and he did a really nice job. And I'm going to read you a little bit of it. It's in 2 Samuel 1 26. It says, "I grieve for you, Jonathan, my brother. You were very dear to me. Your love for me was wonderful, more wonderful than that of women." So he said, "I really, really appreciated your friendship." And he wrote a poem for him. So now we see how much David appreciated Jonathan. Unfortunately, Jonathan never got to read that because he died before he wrote it. And then um, so he honored him. He honored his friendship, and other people could read it. Other people could see how much they loved each other and how much they cared for each other and how much they helped each other and how much they meant for each other. So if you have a chance, tell your friends how much they mean to you. And if you were anything like David and you were gifted at writing or yeah, you could even write a poem to your friends or your family. That would be very special. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that, well, a while back, Jonathan said to David, well, please take care of my family after I'm gone, or something like that. And, it was just a quick little mention, but David really took that to heart, and he really wanted to do something for Jonathan and even Saul's family, although Saul was so mean to him, but David still wanted to do something for them. So he asked a guy, and said, can you find out who is still alive of Saul's family? Because a lot of them were killed. And then this guy came back and said, yes, there is one son left, and his name is Mephibosheth. And he can't walk, his legs are crippled, and he's still alive. He's the only one I could find. So David said, okay, now we're going to give him all the land back that used to be Saul's. So he needs to get that back. And your family, he's talking to that guy, your family needs to work on that um, property, that fields, and farm it and all, and so that he has some income. And also every day, this son of Jonathan's, Mephibosheth, who can't walk properly, he's going to be sitting at my table and eating with me, like every day until he dies. And David really did that. He did that for Jonathan's son, and of course Jonathan never knew that, but that's what he did. So he gave back to Jonathan in big ways. And yeah, so I was trying to find something that we could do to remind us of those friendships, like a craft or something, but I couldn't really find something that's easy to show. So I guess not today. Hopefully I'll have a craft or something for next time, but this time we'll just go without it, or you can do something at home that shows friendship. And if you do something, a special craft, maybe you could even take a picture and send it to me in email. That would be awesome, because then I could even share it with other people next time. I will do that if you send it to me. Good. So I just want to pray with you guys, and wish you a good week. And 3, 2, 1. Dear God, I thank you for everything you give us. I thank you that even we are in difficult times, you are with us. And we know that you let things happen, and we are experiencing right now, but we can also feel that you are with us, and that we can learn more about you, that we can trust in you, that we know that you get us through this, and that we just can have total faith in you. Thank you that Jesus is our friend, that you Jesus will listen to us, that you will encourage us, and that you will go with us wherever we go. We thank you for that. In Jesus' name, amen. So yeah, have a good week. Great week to everybody, and we'll see you again next week. Bye bye.